Hi students, today we are looking at solving equations and your learning target is I can solve equations that contain multiple operations fearlessly. So please write this learning target in your planner for either today or tomorrow. And all you will need for today is a pencil and just this sheet of paper or a blank piece of paper if you're not able to print these notes. Okay, so these equations we've looked at before. This may be a review for you, or maybe this is the first time you're seeing this, but either way, we're going to just jump into it. This is called a two-step equation because there are two operations in here. There's multiplication and addition and subtraction. And here are your steps for solving two-step equations. You have to undo the addition and subtraction first and undo the multiplication and division second. And your goal, just as always, your goal is to get the variable or the letter by itself. Okay, so here's our first example. 5f minus 12 equals 23. So first we're going to undo any addition or subtraction. Well, do I see any addition or subtraction in here? I do. I see subtraction right here. So I need to do the opposite. The opposite of subtracting 12 is adding 12. And I specifically want you, when you're doing these problems, to write your numbers right underneath, just like I'm doing. Keep your equal sign and everything. Just line everything up. You're going to add 12 to this side too. And then 23 plus 12 gives you 35. Keep your equal sign, bring it down. And now negative 12 plus positive 12 is 0. So we can just cross those out. And 5f equals 35. 5f equals 35. Well, 5 is being multiplied to f, 5 times f. Do you agree? So our next step is to divide, because the opposite of multiplying is dividing, and we have to undo multiplication and division. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so we can just get rid of that. And 35 divided by 5 is our last step. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So f is all we have left on this side, so f equals 7. That's our final answer here. All right, and let me erase some of this. We have a little bit more room for our next problem. And then for here, this is an n. We have 22 equals n divided by 4 plus 7. This looks like a fraction, but it's really just a division sign. So n divided by 4 plus 7. So first, we're going to undo addition and subtraction. This time I'm going to color code it in case you prefer color coding. So undoing addition and subtraction is going to be in red. So here's my addition that I need to get rid of. So I undo addition by subtracting. I do the opposite of adding, which is subtracting. I subtract 7 from both sides. My new answer, positive 7 minus 7 is 0, so I don't need that anymore. And 22 take away 7 is 15. So 15 equals, and then all I have left on this side is this piece of the equation. So I just rewrite it. Don't try to solve this in your head. I want you to rewrite these problems out. 15 equals n divided by 4. So my next step I'm going to do in purple is undo my multiplication and division. So if I'm undoing multiplication and division, I need to look for it here. Well, remember I said this means divide. So this is our division line. So what's the opposite of division? The opposite of division is multiplication. So I multiply both sides by 4 to get rid of it. A divided by 4 multiplied by 4 goes away. It turns to 1. And then I need to multiply 4 into the other side. I'm going to put it right here. 4 times 15 is 60. And 60 equals, well, all I have left on the other side is just this n. All I have left is n. So 60 equals n is my final answer. All right, and then here's another example. And I'm going to do the same color coding again. So red is my undoing addition and subtraction. Well, do I have any addition and subtraction in here? Nope, I don't. So I can just skip right to purple. And I'm going to undo multiplication and division. Do I have multiplication and division in here? Yes, I do. I actually have both. Look, here's 2 times x right here. And then this is 2x divided by 3. So I actually have both. And anytime that I'm doing when I have both, I'm going to always try to get rid of my denominator first. I don't want to have a denominator. I just want a plain straight across equation. So let's go ahead and do the opposite of division first, which is multiplication. I'm going to multiply it by 3 to get rid of this denominator of 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I don't have that anymore. And then whatever I do the one side, remember I multiplied by 3, I have to multiply to the other side. So 12 times 3 is 36. 36 equals 2x. And then I need to still look for any more multiplication and division because x is not by itself yet. The variable is not by itself, and that's our goal. So our next step is to divide by 2 because 2 is being multiplied by x, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so those go away. And then I have to do the same thing to the other side. So x equals 36 divided by 2, which is 18. So x equals 18. All right, so in your practice, you have numbers 1, 2, and 3 that go along with this concept that you can practice either now or at the end of this lesson, your choice. The only other thing we're learning in this lesson is how to use the distributive property inside of equations. And if you remember, I call this the rainbow. So distributive property and solving equations is our next step. If you need a little brain break, go ahead and pause the video now and just take a moment before we move on to this next part. So distributive property and solving equations. So we're going to follow the same exact steps that we have up here, undo addition and subtraction, and undo multiplication and division. Our goal is still to get the variable or the letter by itself. It's still the same thing. The only thing is we kind of add a little step up above here, and it's going to go right here. And this step is to distribute if possible. So I'm going to write that the best I can. Distribute if possible. Distribute if possible. Okay, so that's your first step. So remember, distribution happens when there's parentheses. So I'm going to write little parentheses next to it so I remember to distribute if possible. So when we look at this first example problem right here, we see parentheses. There's some right here and some right here. So we need to distribute first. And what does that mean? Well, that means I need to take this outside number and distribute it into this number and into this number to make my rainbow. So remember that when a number is right up against a parentheses, it means to multiply. So I need to do 4 times 3 to get me 12. And then I need to do this outside line of the distribution, 4 times x. Well, 4 times x is just going to get me 4x. I'm going to keep this sign, a plus, and then 4 times x was 4x. And it's still all going to be equal to 10. Nothing changes with that. All right, so now that it's in this form, can you solve it just like these ones? Yeah, we're just going to move on to the red step, which is undoing the addition and subtraction. So where's addition and subtraction here? Well, here's a 12 and here's a 4 times an x. So I need to get this 12 to go away. So remember that this is a positive 12 here. So the opposite of a positive 12 is a negative 12, subtracting 12. So I subtract 12 from both sides. 10 take away 12 is negative 2. So negative 2, bring down my equal sign, equals 4x. And then my next step is in purple, and that's to undo multiplication and division. So if I'm undoing multiplication and division, well, here's multiplication right here. 4 times x, divide by 4, divide by 4. So negative 2 divided by 4, well, you can look at this like a fraction, negative 2/4 or negative 1/2. So negative 1/2 equals, well, 4 divided by 4 over here is 1, so that goes away. So negative 1/2 equals x. All right, so let's do one more as an example of distributive property. Please copy this down because I'm about to erase it. All right, and then so we're going back to our colors. Our first one was to distribute if possible. That was our first step. Well, here are parentheses again. So we need to distribute. We know that because there's parentheses. So we just distribute. We do that first. 40 times x is 40x. And 40 times a negative 2 is a negative 80. And we're still going to set it equal to 200. So I set it all equal to 200. I have 40x minus 80 equals 200. Then I need to move on to my next color, which is undoing addition and subtraction, which is red. And I need to look for addition and subtraction in this problem. So I need to, oh, here it is. Here's subtracting 80. So the opposite of subtracting 80 is adding 80. Adding 80. So we're going to add 80 to both sides because whatever we do to one side, you have to do to the other. Add 80 to both sides. 200 plus 80 is 280. And it's all going to be equal to, well, negative 80 or subtracting 80 plus 80. That goes away. So then I have 40x equals 280. Just like that. And then we're moving on to purple step, or undoing multiplication and division. So here's multiplication right here, 40 times x. So I divide by 40 because opposite of multiplying is dividing. And I divide by 40. 40 divided by 40 is 1, so we can get rid of this. And then all we have left is x equals 280 divided by 40. Well, 280 divided by 40, I know is 7. If you want a shortcut, you can take off these zeros from the end and just do 28 divided by 4 is going to be 7. So x equals 7 for this one. All right, so that's just a quick review on how to solve two-step equations and then how to do distributive property inside equations. Your goal is always the same. It's to find the variable and get it by itself. No matter what, that's always your goal. And then the only other new step is that you might need to distribute if there's parentheses. You have to distribute if possible. All right, so you have 5 questions here to do on your own. Show me that you can do these for credit in class. And then if you need to, just please come with any questions that you may have.